absolute Knicks streets. The Knicks take their first L on the season at Miami. Let's talk about it. Lots of things to discuss tonight, man. We have the poll in the chat. What are your thoughts in this one, man? Disappointing night overall. Our team defense was lacking, and the bench production really hurt the New York Knicks, right? They're in foul trouble as well. There was a key moment in the third as the Knicks lose 107 to 115, man, against a feisty Miami Heat who had their season home opener, and they came out tough. They were physical. Norm Powell, the new pickup. So lots of things to discuss, man. We're going to talk about the players. No Deuce McBride tonight. We give out the grades, shout you guys out. And we'll look at the coaches chat segment as well, with Mike Brown in charge for the third game of his Knicks coaching career right now. Solid performance from OG Anunoby offensively, although the Knicks just couldn't hit threes early in this game, man, and they were in a hole. But Jalen Brunson piece definitely found his rhythm well and truly after last game and this game. Mikal Bridges chipped in and gave the Knicks a great offensive spark, but you know, the Knicks offense just went into a stupor, and I'm going to give Miami more credit defensively. I thought they were, excellent as we come to expect, but a lot of things that the Knicks were terrible at, and I have to clean up, right? I thought their inability to get good looks, they were taking tough looks, and the offense did go into a funk, ladies and gentlemen. So we have our poll in the chat tonight as we look at all the highlights and shout you guys out. Hit that like button, really helps out the channel, and I appreciate you for rocking with us on this one. Replay squad, salute. Now the poll in tonight's chat, right? Are there any concerns from tonight, right? From you personally, right? Everyone can feel how they feel. Option number 1 says no, we miss Deuce, right? And it might sound like a cop-out, but we definitely did miss Deuce, and I felt like this could have resulted in a win, maybe not, but it definitely would have been a really close game. As it was a reasonably close game down the stretch, as the Knicks made their first fake comeback on the season. But look, we definitely missed Deuce McBride, majorly in this one. Second option is too early to tell, only game 3. So that's the second option, fam. Third option is bench needs to step up. Yabusele and Clarkson were beyond sloppy, man. They were a no-show. Yabusele rebounded okay, but just offensively, man, he looks in a funk, as Clyde was saying, aiming the jump shot. And fourth option, last but not least, tonight, Mike Brown could have done better. Mike Brown could do better, right? So no, we miss Deuce. Option number 2, too early to tell. Game 3. Third option, bench needs to step up. Fourth option, no, Mike Brown needs to do better, right? No Diawara, no Kevin McCullough, no Dardier. Huck Porty got the start. Like I said, no Deuce McBride, but we will break it all down. Welcome in, guys. CC, Chris Goddy's in the building. Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. Walter Blackman, Tendrell. Great to see you, yours truly, and Tony. Just to clarify, and a great question coming in from Chris, they announced Deuce was out due to personal reasons, man. So I'm going to respect the privacy. I got no idea, man. I haven't even been told anything, and all they say is personal reasons, fam. I do know he has a young kid, so hopefully, prayers and blessings to not only Deuce but everyone. Personal reasons get the best of us sometimes. I got to think Deuce will be back, hopefully sooner rather than later in the next one. But it's a major piece off our bench, and it's not the main reason we lost. I think we have enough, to win a ball game. And this is where I'm going to start, right? I think team defense. Huck Porty started, and I thought there were moments where the Knicks played solid defense, got some stops. It was a close game at the half. The third quarter was most disappointing. The bench run with Kolek, a little bit of Yabu, and OG and Cat, and just couldn't get going. And Clarkson, sorry, in that lineup, the Knicks just couldn't get any offense going when Brunson was on the floor, fam. And Brunson was absolutely on fire tonight. I think he finished with 35 as we pull up the box score. No game ball out tonight, but we will highlight Jalen Brunson's performance, man. 53% on 14 of 26, 5 of 11 from downtown. Would not let the Knicks lose this one late. Tried to, make a furious comeback, but the Knicks in sloppy possessions with Hart and Cat setting illegal picks. And once again, credit to Miami for fighting over those picks. But the Knicks got to do better, taking care of the ball. And the Knicks could have really stole this game, which would have been, a smash and grab. And I don't think the Knicks really would have deserved this win. Full credit to Miami in Game 3 of the season. But once again, it's just 1 of 82. And the Knicks have got a lot of things to clean up, right? So, yeah, we started at the top. I thought Brunson, obviously outstanding offensive game. 4 steals as well. So Brunson was in, full active mode tonight, trying to get this dub for the Knicks. But a sloppy performance from many other Knicks, right? I thought the 3-point decision making, the 3-point shots that Cat took, were definitely, were tough looks. Foul trouble, 4 fouls as well. That stretch where he wasn't able to help the bench out because he had 4 fouls, I think really hurt the New York Knicks as well. And I said Yabu, Clarkson were just sloppy. As the Knicks were still in it, 54-57, right? What are you guys thinking in this one? Chris says, I know it's early, Game 3, but shooting 50 plus threes is nasty work overall. Yep. I got to feel like some of the looks were just terrible, Chris. I don't mind the Knicks shooting a lot of threes, and that seems to be what we're trying to do. But they got to be good threes, man. You can't just be jacking for the sake of it. As Clyde said on the call, the Knicks were chucking and ducking. So great comment. Walter Blackman, salute to you. Hope everyone's had a blessed week, enjoying their Sunday, although it could have been a lot better. But we're going to find some positives in this one tonight, and we look ahead to the 4th game where we have to, keep our road grit and head into Milwaukee to try to get a win. Walter says, good evening. Our transition D needs work. 100%. So welcome back, Josh Hart. But Hart was sloppy, and that's to be expected. Obviously, he's dealing with, the back issue, and he helped us, sort of finish a couple of defensive possessions with the rebounds and that. But his decision making on offense and his shot just looks completely broken right now. Had the atrocious miss in Game 2 in the last game. But you love Hart's hustle. Again, Mikal was on point. Yeah, I felt like Huck Porty, Walter, picking up a couple of fouls early as well. And look, Miami were just super aggressive. So really, I'm not too concerned about tonight at all, to be honest with you. I know no deuce, 3rd game, they were up for it. Home opener for Miami as well. And we got punched in that 3rd quarter. But if there are some concerns to take from this one, it's mainly from the bench, in my opinion, right? If Yabusele can't really get going, then it's time to have a seat. And that's okay. He'll come to play, at some point this season. I'm not down on Yabusele too much right now. But if he ain't going to pick it up soon, somebody else needs to take those minutes right now. As we go 2-1 on the season. Landry Shamet, 0-4 as well. You guys talking about the threes. I thought Landry had a couple of quality looks, right? So there were some bad looks and there were some quality looks that the Knicks just couldn't knock down, man. I don't know if the Heat's defense was in their head, but they got to do better, man. 15 threes out of 54 is terrible, fam. But like I said, as Brunson finishes as a dominant offensive performance, man, with 37 points. He was a +6. OG Anunoby was a +4 as well, and a Hart +2. And Mikal Bridges had a good offensive game. He was the most efficient, Nick, but Jalen Brunson gets the standout performance offensively, right? Um, Look, great to see him in the rhythm early, but Cat needs to help out. And the ball movement was okay. But look, Heat's defense is going to be tough to break down when you are passing the rock a lot. But yeah, the Knicks just couldn't hit those threes, man, early. And it really didn't help us, you know, get good looks later because, it continued to get tight out there. Now, the Knicks won that flagrant call, and I thought that would have been a swing. But Mikal Bridges missed one of the three free throws. The Knicks got possession back and came up with a donut. So a potential play that could have been a 5 or 6 point play, the Knicks came out of it with only 2 points. And that was a pivotal stretch where the Knicks were trying to get the lead and get that momentum, fam. Y'all remember that play where I think the Knicks were slightly fortunate to get the flagrant. I think Norm Powell undercut Bridges on that one, but he missed the free throw. Walter says concerns over Yabu looks out of shape too. I agree. The jump shot does look like he's aiming, but yeah, he does look out of shape. Ernest says, I have a feeling I'm going to get mad at Clarkson all season long. Man, what a substitute for Payne to Clarkson. Too early to tell, but hopefully not, Ernest. I could see Clarkson winning us some games, but I could definitely seeing him, frustrate us. You see on screen, great finish. You know, he ran into traffic a couple of times, man, and just came up short at the rack. But the thing, what I'm seeing with Clarkson is the jump shot. It does look like he's just kind of leaning. Like, what happened to just going straight up and shooting a normal jump shot? Right? Do you guys notice? Is it just me? But every time I see Clarkson shoot, he's leaning forward like a good, half a foot. And I need to see him just go straight up. Just shoot a normal jump shot. Old habits die hard with some of these guys shooting leaners. Salute to Gray says Miami's Heat defense wore us down. Yeah, look, moving forward, I'm not worried about Miami kind of competing with us. I just think they were up for it tonight. But yeah, the staple, the signature of their play is their physical defense. Nothing that Deuce McBride wouldn't have been able to kind of help with. Also, as we talk about in the next segment, Mike Brown and some adjustments, right? Now, he was kind of hamstrung a little bit tonight, as we see Clyde talk about on the call about Pat Riley, saying that he gave Pat Riley the business early and made Pat want to be a coach and give it up, right? Now, Kolek started the game brightly, knocked down this open three. But as I said before, with the foul trouble of Cat and Yabu and Clarkson struggling, that bench lineup really was the reason the Knicks went down double digits. Brunson was getting cold. When Brunson came back, we made that run. I think we were always going to make a run. But JB being on the bench just for that long without enough bench production, really hurt us. And I thought, what could Mike Brown do? And that's where we're going to talk about next, guys. If you were Mike Brown, would there been anything you would have done differently? Any praise, any criticism? I'm going to shout it out. You guys let us know as we move to the coaches chat segment, and then we'll give out the grades. Now, I like the decision to start Huck Bordy. Now, he seems to be matching up to the opponent. Last game, Boston go small. He matched up small, and it was fruitful. Tonight, Khalil Ware, Bam, he matched up with Huck Bordy. Now, unfortunately, Huck didn't have a great game. Mr. Bunny at the rack with a nice feed down low. He had the head fake, and then the ball just slipped out of his hands. but Huck got to finish strong with that one, right? But that's one good decision I like from Mike Brown. He won the challenge calls in this one for the most part, so he was onto it. I like that. Um, I guess in a game that was physical and was kind of getting out of hand a little bit, look, Landry couldn't hit a shot. Kolek went cold. Clarkson went cold, right? He could have brought Brunson back earlier, but he resisted temptation, obviously, and let that bench die hard in this one, man. And it died a slow death um, as the lead got extended, right? Diawara sitting on the bench. Trey Jemison, I like his energy and activity. I perhaps would have looked to him. I would have liked to see Dardier, Kevin, or Diawara get an opportunity, maybe in place of Yabusele, right? Clarkson, you kind of got to keep out there, I guess. Hopefully he can find his range and hit some shots. But yeah, Kolek is the backup point guard, -12, right? So not the reason for the loss, but one of the reasons the Knicks went in that stupor. And, Kolek was kind of overthinking it, I think. He was kind of passing up some looks. He was trying to get other guys going. But again, they just weren't hitting nothing as well. So, yeah, in terms of Mike Brown, man, he was kind of in a tough spot without Deuce McBride, right? When Cat, one of the leaders, picks up 4 fouls, and you're forced to sit Brunson, not too much you could have done differently, fam. I'm not really protecting Mike Brown tonight, but I don't think this loss was on him. If it was on him, I felt like I would have, definitely say that. But this one, man, I think some of the leaders and the bench players let us down. Um, defensively, yeah, it was tough to watch. Uh, as we see some comments saying Yabu struggles, Yabu's a joke, says Ed. I don't think we lost this game because of one bench player, but you're not wrong. Yabu needs to pick it up. Jason wants to see Precious get picked up. One thing you want to see is, Yabusele get in better shape. Salutations, Johnny Chiba says bad threes all night. Yeah, Cat, definitely got to highlight Cat. Bad threes, those looks. Yeah, fine margins. It was a tight game, I think, for the most part. But yeah, a good learning lesson that none of these silly ticky tack fouls, cheap fouls early, and Cat's got to stay in the game because that did ruin the substitutions and the rhythm. Normally, Cat's been out there with the bench lineups, in order to help us out. But look, without Yabu and Clarkson gunning, it's time to turn over to the next guy, fam, as we turn over to the grades right now. Shout out to everyone in the building. Unfortunate loss tonight, but we have a poll in the chat. How do you feel about this one? Any concerns, right? Option number 1 is no, we miss Deuce. Second option, too early to tell. It's only game 3. We'll wait and see. Third option, bench is a concern. It needs to step up. And last option, Mike Brown could do better. Now, a scrappy physical game, I'm kind of thinking like McCullough would have been a good game to get him going. Trey Jemison as well with the double bigs. But when players don't perform, it lets the coach down. And I don't think Huck Porty really took a chance in his second start on the season. Hart's working his way back. So I thought Hart had some genuine, really gritty moments, keeping us in the ball game. But then offensively, he's out of sync right now completely. So look, if too early to make any tweaks, but if the bench continues to struggle, I'm getting Dardier in there. I'm going to see what Diawara can give, right? If anything, if the offense is in a funk defensively, we need to be stout. And no Deuce, so you miss that tenacity. You do miss the physicality and the offense as well. And I do think maybe a Diawara could help out without a Kevin McCullough as well. Salute to Yuri in the building. Says, yeah, too early to basically tell. And I feel you on that. I agree. Johnny disagrees on that front and says Mike Brown could have done better, uh, managing the game flow, fam. And yeah, I see you as well. I feel like there were moments where the flow of the game could have been managed. The lead was getting out of hand. Do you get Brunson back in there? Do you try to mix it up? Um, you know, some of the shots, just the shot selections were terrible from Clarkson, Yabusele as well. Um, and look, as one of the main story continues to be, our 3-point attempts, man, 54 is no joke, right? Well, to some it's a joke, but in terms of the size, the sheer size, man, is crazy. And so I want us to balance it out, man. We need to attack the paint, and too much 3-point shooting from Karl Anthony Towns. Now, 8 threes, if they're good threes, I don't mind, but not from the logo, fam. Uh, Karl Anthony Towns, man, you should be in shape. Great off-season, preseason. Run the floor and get your caboose down low in the paint, where we can, get them in foul trouble. The Miami Heat were in foul trouble at one point early in the first half, and we were jacking threes. And so I like Cat's post-up game. The hook shot was good. You know, I feel like I want him down low a lot more. None of these logo threes right now. It's too early for that. Um, with that said, inefficient night from OG Anunoby as well. Maybe he was feeling the effects from the cramping last game. We'll wait and see. But for me, too many threes and bad threes as well. Now, some positives, as I promised, we always take away some positives. That Mikal Bridges and um, Jalen Brunson, right? They look like the best Knicks offensively, and they look ready for the season and what's to come, right? Let us know your thoughts on Mikal Midi Bridges, right? Buzzer Beater says Yabu looked like he started playing basketball yesterday. Appreciate that, Buzzer Beater. Yabu, he looks heavy, fam, and I think he's going to shed some pounds. But hopefully he can get those shots going down right now. He's just aiming right now. As Gray says, Mo D Jemison could have at least brought energy, create fast break opportunities, and yeah, I agree. That's the one thing Mike Brown could have done better. Yeah, the players let him down. I feel like from decision making perspective, but from the game flow management on that. So appreciate that constructive piece on Mike Brown in the coaches chat. We all know, our defense creates offense. And if you want to play a fast-paced offense, you do have to get stops, right? You ain't running a fast-paced offense if you're constantly picking the ball out of the basket, And so, we didn't start Cat at the 5 like last game. We started Huck Porty, so I like his decision, but it just didn't, it didn't play out accordingly. Stupid foul decisions and ticky-tack fouls, not defending with our feet, and also shooting, poor shot selection as well. As Ricardo says, new year, same struggle with the Heat. Yeah, man, it sucks losing to the Miami Heat, but game 3, they were definitely up for it, in their home opener, and I felt like once we get back to MSG, we'll be fine. But we do have to make a stop over to Milwaukee, and we're going to take a look at the results tonight. But looks like Milwaukee have started the season okay, so that's going to be a good challenge. They've got Cole Anthony coming off the bench. They've got Giannis playing, ferocious ball right now, and the New York Knicks are going to have to correct their effort defensively, right? Giving up 60 plus to the Miami Heat in the half was poor as well. I don't think this Miami Heat team is great, offensively. They didn't shoot very well either. As I pull up the game stats right now, we take a look. So the Miami Heat shot 35% from the field. 35% from downtown, 45% from the field, and that's the major difference, fam. right? We shot poorly from the field, but they shot even better from the field, right? In this one, both teams were sloppy, 15 turnovers plus. The Knicks got 9 steals again, but they were playing defense with their hands for the most part, right? And giving up 115 to this Miami Heat team. I mentioned Norm Powell. He finished with 29. He was a killer, but the silent killer was Simon Fontecchio, right? Davion Mitchell, he's going to play his gritty defense, and Brunson lit him up. So I'm not worried about Davion Mitchell, man. He's a fake tough guy. Now he plays gritty defense, but it's not going to stop JB. He's 6 foot tall. Period. And so basically Brunson was feasting, but he got slowed down by having to sit on the bench, and the bench just didn't help us out tonight. I did think Huck Porty set good screens. Now he was able to help Jalen Brunson get going, and that's something that Cat and Hart let us down with towards the end. Right? You gotta set good screens. Got to be able to set better screens, fam. As the starting five for the Heat went big with Norm Powell, Wiggins, Bam, and Khalil Ware with Davion Mitchell. So I mentioned the Heat being not too much of a threat, but they might be a playoff team. They might, in the weak East, they might avoid the play-in. We'll see. We'll find out, right, as the season plays out. Ricardo mentions Garrison Matthews. We'll see if we end up regretting that. But I like the way Landry plays defense. Landry Shamet just couldn't hit those shots tonight. I do think Landry Shamet's defense is better than Garrison's. But like Chris says, growing pains. Buzzavita says Shamet couldn't hit the ball in the what with a sledgehammer. Simon says 3 should be taken within the flow of an offense, right? Not just throw it up when contested. Definitely, Simon. But yeah, the energy on defense has to get better. 107 could be enough to win you a ball game still. But as you see, Cat, fair play, getting the close down block, the chase down block in that one. And that was to end the quarter. And I thought, you know what? I think we're going to finish strong and we're going to win this ball game. But Miami were the team that finished the strongest in this one. The hunger for the Heat to get their home crowd the dub. Chris says too many illegal screens. Yeah, ill discipline. Nothing we haven't seen before from Cat, really. But it's also on the ball handler to make sure that they wait for the screen to get set. Now, look, I know everyone's down on Yabusele right now. I think he rebounded okay. He missed some bunnies because he's out of shape. But the other thing that Yabu does usefully is set good screens. I mean, he's a lump of a guy, and he does set really good screens. Brunson was able to get free once again, but unfortunately, he's just so slow right now, man. He's moving like a truck, right? He's moving like an oil tanker right now, trying to move around the track. And I think we just got to keep his minutes to a minimum as he gets back into shape, hopefully very, very soon. But look, there's other guys snapping at the heels to get some opportunities. Buzzer says, what were the points off of turnovers? Great question, fam. I don't have that handy right now. Apologies. But I do know with both teams finishing with 15 and 16 turnovers, the Miami Heat 31 points off a fast break. Most of those were off a turnover, or as good as a turnover, which is a bad, ill-advised shot from the New York Knicks. Now, Cat shooting those, logo threes, can we limit that to maybe 1 or 2 a game, if that? And it's got to be within the flow, right? If we're operating at a deficit where we need to get the lead back, I don't want Cat shooting those heat checks. Now, if we have the lead and it's like, okay, you're feeling it, let's go for the jugular and let's, try to extend the lead. I can forgive some of those deep threes, but when you're down, it's inexcusable, fam. I mean, guys are out of position and then they're slow to get back in transition. If you're jacking up, those logo threes, so that ain't good for us. With that said, but look, I always pay credit to the opponent as well. It's a new season. Got to see what the Miami Heat bring. I don't think they're a long-term threat, but they are better. They did make improvements. Wiggins played a solid game. Wiggins, he frustrates me, man, because he might have one good game in every 5 games. And the media, the casuals, jump on it. But really, if you watch Andrew Wiggins long enough, like I do play fantasy, he's let me down a lot. And Andrew Wiggins is kind of you know, he plays good as the weather changes, fam. You know what I mean with Andrew Wiggins, but he had a solid game. Uh, I thought Norman Powell was the big difference. Like he's a bona fide starter in this league. Is Norman Powell, and the Miami Heat, you know, found that. Obviously, they traded out Jimmy Butler, and they don't have Kevin Love right now. And yeah, the other guy is Fontecchio. How could I forget? Uh, Now I'm sure he's probably making too much, and we've got some minimum guys like Shaman and Matthews that we're trying to sign, but Simon Fontecchio is an upgrade over those guys offensively. So the Miami Heat, they picked up some solid pieces. I thought Harquez, he's a pain in the backside. Is Harquez, but he's not a flashy offensive guy. He's just all grit, right? He's just kind of their Josh Hart, and we let him get alive and and create some chaos. And we didn't want that. Um, Also, let's not forget they don't have Tyler Hero as well. So look, there's some positive signs for the Heat, and we need to clean this thing up. We need to clean it up. No passengers off the bench tonight, right? We need to bring some other guys in. Um, Prezi the boss, salute. Says, my question is Gary Bird even on a new squad? I don't think he is. I was thinking that during the game. I'm not going to lie. My mind did go to Garrison during this game as the bench was stinking it up. Um, Chris Connors, seems like Cat will always be a here and there player. Really good one game, off another, and decent another. Chris, man, you're not wrong, man. That's the story of Cat's career right now. I mean, the highs are super high, but he's adjusting to a new offense. But yeah, old habits die hard with Cat, right? And look, that's where you just got to coach him up, coach him up more. And so far, there hasn't been a coach in Cat's career that's been able to really get through mentally, you know, the skill set and all that's tantalizing. But the silly fouls, the ill-advised threes, um, you know, taking it way too casual sometimes, smiling and laughing during the games too much. I can understand how frustrating it is, but like I said, the highs are amazingly high sometimes in those moments. You just got to live with the bad right now. And as we talk about later in the season, I'm sure when we approach trade deadline and next summer, depending what happens with this season, there's always going to be that discourse, over, Cat's contract and the money that he's being paid right now, and can he get a team over the hump? Does Jalen Brunson need a better Robin, a better sidekick? We're going to find out. But look, Cat's super skilled. I just think from the coaching perspective, I need Cat posting up a lot more, and he's able to kick it back out, facilitate. Cat in that perimeter game, it's hit and miss, like Chris said, you know. Um, so look, Dink Pate, I don't know where he is right now. I think he's with Westchester Knicks, and he's not even on a two-way. So the Knicks can't play him at all. Dink Pate's not even with the New York Knicks right now. I think it's way too early to be even talking about that because, from a personal standpoint, I think there's other guys ahead of him who would be in line to get a shot, whether it be Dardier, Diawara, Trey Jemison, and McCullough. And so yeah, if from the Yabusele Clarkson front, from a coaching perspective, if they're not going to get it done offensively, right, just revert back to gritty defense. And I would swap some of the minutes around, get a Diawara, get a Trey Jemison or a McCullough in there, um, and see if we can get some more stops. If Yabusele is not hitting shots, then it's not going to help us much off the bench. If Cat is sitting with foul trouble, Clarkson, he needs to clean it up. Just way too sloppy. Like I said, leaning in, trying to get contact, falling out of bounds, fading away. Just stick to basics, man. Just get back to basics, right? And look, Kolek, I can't be harsh on Kolek because he's a young guy finding his way. This is the most minutes that he's been playing, and there's growing pains with Tyler Kolek, and I'm just glad that he's getting an opportunity right now. Um, CC says we can't forget Spolstra is also a major factor and a good coach. Definitely. And look, the trap, the blitz, but we just played into their hands, CC. We were moving the ball well, but anytime they brought the trap, we just threw it out of bounds. Kolek had a bad turnover. I think it was Hart had another one as well. So they're speeding us up, which, we just need to be more composed. And I think we will be. I do like Kolek's presence on offense. He's just got to, find ways for the game to slow down with Tyler Kolek, right? He's a bit hesitant, taking a shot at the basket. You can kind of see it. And he's openly willing to take those threes. But I think once he gets around the pick or he gets downhill, you can kind of see Tyler Kolek second guess. Keeps his dribble alive, but he runs into traffic and then he, circles back, shot clock goes down. And so, yeah, the bench was in that funk. I think Kolek just got to be more decisive looking at the basket. Shout out to Glenn, says, salute, brother. We can't get too high or too low with these games. I always say it. People say we're winning a chip when we win or fire everyone when we lose. Glenn, man, we ride or die, but you're spot on with that one. It is just more, I guess it's coming from a good place of frustration. We all want to see this team win. But yeah, I take everyone's comments with a grain of salt right after the game. No disrespect, but we're all definitely feeling the energy. Our adrenaline is up, our blood pressure is up. Usually after a good sleep, I feel differently the next day. Um, but you definitely, everything's new right now under Mike Brown. But some of these habits that we're seeing are bad habits from last season as well. Knicks won today, yet wants to see more Diawara, moves the way we need, not Yabusele. And yeah, I think it's not going to be long before Mike Brown, goes further down. If a couple of losses stack up, I think we'll see Mike Brown make some tweaks. We're in a season where it's championship or bust, and you got to earn your keep. You got to earn your keep. And I think there will be some clashes, hopefully from the good side of things where, tough love, tough coaching. But let's say if a game where Cat's frustrating, bad shots, foul trouble, I think Mike Brown's going to sit him down. I don't think he's going to be afraid to do that, make those hard decisions. Well, I hope that he will be. We need guys playing team ball. You know, as yeah, man. You guys are on fire tonight. Yabusele, frustrating. Clarkson, frustrating, man. But look, we can't forget where we came from last season. Hart's just working his way back. And Deuce McBride is going to be probably our best bench, performer as well. As well. As well as I hate giving any credit to the Miami Heat, I will say this. It's a brand new season and you just don't know where the order lies. everyone's kind of glazing Magic, glazing Indiana, glazing Boston. You just never know. Heat, they got that culture. They made some good pickups. They got a good coach. I would not be surprised if we're sitting here after 20 games and the Miami Heat are above some of these other guys. You know, as I say, it's a brand new season. So you just never know. Um, and then some teams can fall away towards the end of a season as well as the lights get bright. Um, you know, I always feel like you got to go around the league once, play every team once, and figure it out. We're going to get a good look at Milwaukee in the next one, and we got a good look at Miami tonight, right? So, look, I'm not sweating it really too much. We played Miami on their home floor. Let's see what they got when they come back to Madison Square Garden. I'm not sure when that game is, but all eyes, all focus should be on Milwaukee now, and we can correct this, right? As Prezi says, yeah, it's the NBA. One thing I didn't like though was just our ill discipline defensively. We did let some of their scrappers, Prezi, get into it too much. With the Harquezes and the and Fontecchios and those guys. Kalel Ware got loose a little bit too much as well. So, look, we've got some important pieces that need to be on the floor and not in foul trouble. And would have loved to see a bit more Diawara, and a Huck Porty as well doing that tough run. Less Yabu. Now we will take a look around the league, but I mean, from Brunson's perspective, man, I mean, some people were talking about too much isolation. It's just one of those games where I'm not going to criticize Brunson too much for isolating because no one else could really get it going outside of Midi Macau. And OG just didn't seem to be able to hit timely shots. I don't know if the cramp, actually, I'm going to say the cramp looked like it was affecting OG from the last game. Because every time, if you notice tonight, when OG tried to drive or make a play, man, he buckled his knees and feet. Like he blew a tire basically like 3 times tonight, I think, trying to make a move one-on-one. So I don't really know what's up with OG. He does seem to have that balance issue where he can blow that tire on those drives as well. So, look, we need to clean that up. But yeah, Deuce McBride, he could be a worthy starter this season, right? Started last game and we came up trumps, right? So hopefully Deuce gets back in the next one, and whatever he's dealing with, our thoughts and our strengths are with Deuce McBride. Personal reasons out. Hopefully it's nothing major. Mark says, but Clarkson got to step it up. We miss Deuce. Definitely, fam. Yet to see a signature Clarkson game, and we'll be there. We'll be ready he does get one. I thought defensively he was good last game, and he won the Knicks locker room defensive player as voted by the players and Mike Brown. He got to rock the Tims, the vest, the hard hat. That's a cool gimmick. I think that the Knicks are doing internally in the locker room, giving out that defensive player tonight. I don't think they're going to be giving out one to anybody, man. But probably OG Anunoby would get it. Or, I mean, Jalen Brunson finished with 4 steals, but OG finished with 3 steals and a block. Now, David says, CT, do you think Clarkson and Yabu are getting enough minutes, though, to get into a good rhythm? That's a fair point. That's a fair point, David. I do think that when you're, with a brand new team, it does require a certain amount of games to get comfortable. Now, that said, they're pros. They're doing it on the fly, and they are expected to play better. But there is an element of, the shortened minutes, the rotations, and playing at a fast pace right now. That bench unit just did not look cohesive tonight. Nobody kind of knew after the screen who's popping, who's cutting. It was just a mess right now. And maybe it's the time now where we need to start seeing some plays called out. Mike Brown's been letting them freestyle a bit. And look, they've been getting some decent looks as well. Like I said, they just didn't go down. Like how many decent looks did Yabusele get from downtown? A lot better than the 3-point looks Cat was taking. Most of Yabusele's looks were wide open, which is concerning, that he was not able to knock them down. Um, so, yeah, we take it day at a time. As Prezi the boss says, some of us were already picking out our outfits for the NBA Finals, fam, and getting these rings ordered, engraved. But slow down. We have the most amazing team in forever, but this is new and it needs to gel. Oh yeah, last season's squad as well. Yeah, Prezi, I just want consistency, and I want guys to feel comfortable in the system ASAP. But the truth is, like you said, um, if Mike Brown is going to run a 9, 10, 11-man rotation, unfortunately, there are going to be nights where guys play well and guys don't play well because there's only one basketball. And usually, when your minutes are down, like David says, you just can't get into the game. You might be out there ghosting. You might be out there for 8 to 12 minutes and you just got to find your way into the game and set good screens. Don't get beat by your man. Just all the underrated things that don't show up on the box score. Box out. Um, don't get into foul trouble. Just simple things that we need to see consistently. Right. Not everyone's going to be able to put the ball in the basket with 11-man rotation. But today we just didn't really do the 1% things very well, right? Um, but I mean, Jalen Brunson, man, did a lot of things well. Unbelievable performance from him, and pleasing to see early in the season. But I mean, what do we expect, right? He's coming ready, right? And speaking of ready, we're going to talk about around the league right now and start to look at some trends, as most of these teams have played 3 right now. We have the Pistons, I think, picked up their second win on the season, and the Boston Celtics pick up their second loss of the season. Now the Cavaliers beat the Bucks, right? Our next opponent, and we took care of the Cavaliers as well. So that just tells you how things are, can balance out. The Wizards have looked good, and they got punked tonight by the Charlotte Hornets. Wow, 139 from the Hornets. The Hornets going to be that team where they might put up 140 or they might put up 70. you know, with a style I think they're going to play with LaMelo, and the Spurs continue to chip away early with Wembanyama. Good to see the Pacers take a loss, courtesy of the Timberwolves, and the Mavericks are desperately trying to get their first win of the season after a disappointing 0-2 start. So some trends popping up right now as we take a look at the standings. Right, let me refresh. The Knicks were number 1 in the East heading into tonight, but we got Philly sitting on 2 wins. The Hornets are at 2-1. The Miami Heat 2-1, and the Knicks coming in at 5th currently at 2-1. But it's way too early to even really look at the standings. But like I said earlier, it's noteworthy to look at some of the bottom teams right now. The Celtics actually are winless. I correct myself. Boston are 0-3. Maybe they decide to throw in the towel and tank the rest of the season. Wait and see. The Pacers are 0-2 as well. Struggling there as well without Halliburton. The Orlando Magic are 1-2 on the season. And the Hawks are also 1-2, and they were tipped to be kind of 3rd, 4th, right behind the Knicks and Cleveland. So look, things can be tough in a brand new season, and I'm not going to rule out Milwaukee. I think that's going to be a tough game, fam, in the next one. As I'll take a look at the box score in this one, because Cleveland Milwaukee is very noteworthy. Looks like Mobley and Mitchell stepped up again. DeAndre Hunter came back as well. So that's a key piece that they were missing He finished with 16. Um, Giannis finished with a 40 piece. AJ Green chipped in with 20. Bobby Portis chipped in with 10. So actually a very lopsided scoring balance from Milwaukee. Gary Trent started with just 6 points. Miles Turner only had 13, and Ryan Rollins 14. So AJ Green and Giannis doing most of the heavy lifting with that, fam. So that's going to be interesting. What's our plan to slow down Giannis? Right. So they are going to start Miles Turner, and they are going to start with Giannis. So do we stay with the same starting lineup? Probably, I would say, because you can't really revert back to Cat. I don't think you can really revert back to Cat at the 5. Okay, maybe, yeah, OG could guard Giannis. Um, that's interesting. Let me know what you guys think. How would you line up now against the Bucks? Right. Let's say Turner and at the 5 and Giannis at the 4. Would you go with Yabusele? So would you go with Huck Porty and Cat and OG at the 3? Uh, or would you go, okay, Cat at the 5, but he's going to guard Miles Turner, who we know is going to be out there on the perimeter, and OG could guard Giannis. David says I'm keeping my eye on Philly to see if Embiid stays healthy, right, and they limit his minutes. That's going to be definitely key. But yeah, great point about Philly. I can't forget about them because VJ Edgecombe looks like he could do some heavy lifting for them in season 1, and that's noteworthy. If Quentin Grimes is a key contributor and Jared McCain gets back with Maxey, they'll be a playoff team. If Paul George and Embiid can just give them something, that's going to be very interesting too. I'm not sweating them from our perspective, but I do think Philly could make some noise. Shez V says we can slow down Giannis by signing him to a long-term contract. I love that, fam. Look, I don't think that noise is going to go away. I do think in the off season something might happen. David says Cat and Huck together for that defensive solidity. That is something that's key as well. Rebounding and shutting down the paint, David. Kind of sealing off the paint. And look, I think we had success against Milwaukee with Thibodeau, so we don't necessarily need to deviate from the plan that we had under Tibbs when we play a Milwaukee. Right, the plan has always been to put a barricade up and make Giannis shoot. Right, that's where he's uncomfortable, and stop the penetration pause from getting into the paint. We all know Miles Turner's not a great rebounder either, and if he's going to be out on the perimeter and we can put a wall up to stop Giannis, that bodes well for our chances of winning the rebounds as well. Now, you just never know game to game. Maybe Yabusele hopefully comes to play and has his breakout in the next one. We need some bench scoring. Deuce McBride might be back, might not be back due to the personal reasons. So regardless, we're going to need someone to really step up off the bench. I'm looking at Landry Shamet as well as we give up 115, which is kind of around league average now, but it ain't great defense. Prezi the boss also says Macaus, shout out to him. What a great game he had. That fade is lethal. Yeah, the speed that he's able to get downhill was key. And shout out to Eddie F. Great to see you tonight. Everyone rocking in the building despite the loss, right? We'll bounce back, right? And I think we're going to continue a strong start to the season, right? I think we definitely ran into a brick wall tonight with Miami and their defense, and guys just had an off shooting night, and no Deuce McBride. Eddie says I need to see Huck aggressive on offense. He had a chance to get into a rhythm early and was soft on the offensive end. Needs to set the tone early. Yeah, I think it's going to come with more minutes, Eddie. I think the same could be said for Kolek and maybe some of the other guys. I think once they get 5 to 10 games in. Now, for example, Huck had an amazing opener, and then he sits for the second game, and he must be thinking like, man, like I'm sure he's okay with the coach's decisions, but for a young fella, it plays with your mindset. It's like, am I playing tonight? Am I starting? Am I not playing at all? It's too bipolar right now, and so I don't mind Mike Brown matching up against opponents and that, but you got to keep that in mind when you're kind of managing players because they are creatures of habit and they do like to, it helps them when they can, feel like they're going to play or they're not going to play at all. And then you throw them out to start. It's tricky, you know, it's tricky out there. But I agree with you in terms of the aggressiveness. And same thing with Kolek. Like, Kolek, I'm actually surprised the amount of space that Kolek has been able to manufacture from his defender, and that's a credit to him, credit to the screens being set. But I feel like Kolek's not damaging enough right now, and if you want to be a real strong rotation piece and player in this league, you need to punish the space when you get it. Right now, Kolek's kind of getting around the screen and he's not really looking at the rim. He's not looking at the basket. And then if he does get a bit of daylight at the 3-point line, he's very open to just pulling up the three, which is still inconsistent. So yeah, he needs to be more damaging, I think, when he gets those opportunities. But it'll come. I'm glad that these young players are getting minutes over anything, and that's a victory in itself, right now. So look, so far in the Mike Brown era, happy that he's open-minded, he's adjusting to the opponents and that, but there are some things, man, that he's got to manage in game better and also just, clean up from the runs perspective, and just feel out the game, If guys are in foul trouble, bench, ain't got it. You might need to just get Brunson out there, get him back in there. Unfortunately, Cat was in foul trouble, tonight. Um, comment here from Knicks One Today also says Yabu will likely shoot better, but overall game and speed isn't going to change. Hopefully the shots do go down. The thing that, yeah, you're saying, I think the bench will play fast, and he's not, the most suited player to getting up and down. I do think the defense has always been a concern since the day we signed him. So far, I like the effort rebounding. He seems to be able to keep some of those balls alive and throw his weight around. I just, yeah, need him to do more of what works for him and be more impactful under the basket, and also maybe look at the basket too, not just at the 3-point line. Um, Eddie says it was those early 2 possessions where Huck had the ball under the basket and was hesitant. Dunk that thing, man. Take that offensive foul if you have to, but punish whoever is between you and the rack. 100%. Yeah, Eddie, I know the play. I mentioned it earlier as well. The head fake, and then he kind of just, he went up weak. He went up weak with that one. But yeah, I think he's finding his rhythm with heavy minutes as well. But I do think it's a thing, like I said before, it can mess with the player's confidence when you start one game and then you're a DNP the next game, and then you get to start the game after that. Yeah, it's kind of too bipolar. Now, the thing that counteract that, I would have played Huck Porty against Boston, right? Who cares if they went small a little bit? If you decide to start him in game one, I would have, at the very least, got him in there in the bench lineups against Boston. To me, it's no way to coach. You can't have a player start for you and then DNP for you. Now, I get you trying to match up with the starting 5, but it doesn't mean the player needs to be a DNP in the next one. Like it was just totally erratic. From my standpoint, a player can't go from starting to not playing at all and then starting again. They're either in your rotation or they're not, and it's okay to shuffle the starting 5. But just, yeah, keep the players mindset rhythm in mind. And look, I get he's trying to welcome back Josh Hart too. Moving pieces. Deuce missed tonight. It is going to be kind of a balancing act. I mean, things are going to get real tricky when Mitch comes back. But obviously, for the positive, when Mitch comes back, he'll be starting, right? And by the way, I wish I had a Mitch update for Jarl, but there's absolutely no update right now from what I'm seeing. Let me refresh now as we bring you the latest quotes, also from the locker room. Um, okay, we have a good quote here from James L. Edwards, the third of The Athletic. Mike Brown's quotes after the game, right, on the threes. Now, bring this up. And it says, Mike Brown said the team only generated 14 sprays, right? And he wants at least 20, right? So for that, that's basically foot in the paint, spray it back out. See, for this one, Brunson got foot in the paint, but obviously Brunson is Brunson, and he's deadly in the mid range. But it does look like the guys had the 3-point line covered. But yeah, there was some help lingering around. So Mike Brown wants the team to do a better job of spraying the ball back out. I thought we did well with the pull-up threes. Not going to complain about that. But I do think we missed some really big, wide open shots as well from Yabu, OG too. Um, Now, another quote from Mike Brown. Mike Brown talked about not being afraid to wave the white flag in order to preserve his players. Curious if we get the first taste of that. Um, okay, so that was towards the end of the game. That was not after the game. That was during the game. So Mike Brown's previously talked about not being afraid to wave the white flag, but yeah, it's way too early in the season. For that, third game in, let the starters completely rock, and it was vindicated because the Heat did stumble, and it looked like they wanted to give it away, fam. We could have stole this game if we had Deuce McBride, definitely. Uh, so next quote we got is Brown is upset. The Knicks gave up 15 free throws in the third quarter after talking about it at halftime. Um, yeah. So yeah, I think the ill discipline was a major key in this one. So yeah, we were missing some open looks. But yeah, I see David in the building, heated. No need to be too heated about this one, fam. But you do you. I guess fans get very frustrated with a loss, but it's very early in the season, I think, to be evaluating the coach too much. Um, Definitely the players missed open looks. And they made some good defensive plays. I just think that bench run in the third was the killer. Um, we did not get enough rhythm going. And with Yarbrough, and Clarkson set to get major minutes, if they ain't hitting, switch it up and get some defensive demons out there. I like McCullough and I like Diawara. Those guys deserve a chance. Unfortunately, the other gunner, which is, you got Shamit, wasn't able to hit any shots as well. So that's frustrating too, right? When Shamit can't hit any shots, that's definitely really frustrating. Apologies for any lag. Looks like I'm coming in and out a little bit. Apologies for that. Hopefully it comes through and steadies out. I'm still here, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, look, the positive is Jalen Brunson had an amazing game, and look, we take that into the next one, and hopefully the other guys, the bench, can hit those shots. Okay, I'm just going to refresh. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate the patience. Refreshed. Hopefully, I'm coming through live and direct. And looks like I'm still lagging. Okay, looks like it's video, audio good. You guys let me know. Um, yeah, we're going to take a quick look at the next couple of games coming up. Yeah, games coming up. Look, a couple of challenges, man. Milwaukee, Chicago was the bogey team for us, and so I think we're going to learn a lot more about this team as these challenges come up. Right, the first two games were, you're riding the emotions, you're riding the the adrenaline to start a season, right? But then as the challenges come with each team, the coach, the players going to be all put to the test right now. Brunson is up to the task. Um, Hart played 28 minutes tonight, rebounded well. Um, Also got 5 dimes, but a +2, so an impactful player tonight, man. Maybe I didn't give Hart enough credit. Um, as Chris said, audio good, video lagging. Appreciate y'all. Um, Thank you for the update. But yeah, I think Hart, he's going to be solid off our bench this season, and he's going to, change games. I'm looking for the other guys to step up off the bench, right? You can't be having that performance from Yabu, -10, 2 points, 0 points, -9 from Landry, and 8 points, but a -12 from Clarkson, right? So that's basically the difference in tonight's win or loss, right? Most of those guys, played around those minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and were a -10, -12. So that's the game right there. That swings the game in Miami's favor. Now, Tyler Kolek -12 as well. So, man, we miss Deuce like the desert misses the ocean right now. And we need some productivity off the bench, right? So step on up. Next guy, Diawara, Jemison. I like the energy they were bringing. Jose G, salute, says no Tims and hard hat tonight for the Knicks. Definitely, man. Look, we got our first L out of the way. Let's hope we don't pick up another L, man, until the new year um, as well. But look, we'll be at it in the next one. Still figuring things out about the East. We're going to learn a lot about Milwaukee. Right, Giannis is going to come fired up. You know that, man. You know the talk about him wanting to join the New York Knicks is all out there, and we're going to find out what the Knicks can do defensively and bounce back. Does Mike Brown tighten things up with the rotation, fam? Some might be saying tens too much on a night like this, where you just need to sharpen the defense and maybe get it down to nine-man rotation at some point. But with Clarkson and Yabu, man, the hook's got to be quick. If they're killing you and it ain't helping, then you might need to get one or two of the starters back in. Right, it's very early in the season, and you need to be picking up wins. Right, I'm not worried about the minutes police early into the season. You just really need to be picking up wins early, and then you can kind of um, loosen the belt. After the couple of wins, and you get going. Right now, though, we don't want to fall behind when it comes to that. David says, I just hate the first L in Miami. Definitely feel you on that. David says, Clarkson missing those layups, man. He could have had it. We could have had it. It was tough to watch. Our offense was hexed. Tendrell says, Giannis hits Doc Rivers with a steel chair, tears off his Bucks jersey to reveal a Knicks jersey. Can you imagine? Trade deadline, stay tuned. But look, if the Bucks are starting well and they're winning, don't think we're going to hear too much about, potential Giannis speak. But if the Bucks start to go into a funk and they're battling the play-in, falling down, then we're definitely going to start to hear what's up with that. But Look, yeah, I'm not really too down on this game tonight. Mike Brown either. I like that he's playing Kolek. I like that he's obviously rocking with those vets on the minimum deals, but you know, they have to come correct. They need to understand that their situation is they're playing for a contending team, and we can't be having this street ball mixtape and one stuff with Jordan Clarkson, and also with Yabusele. He needs to hit shots and affect the game. Move his feet, try and defend at a higher level, um, and then we'll be okay. We'll keep going and we'll pick up these wins, ladies and gentlemen. So next up, Brew City. We're on our way, and we'll catch you post game live for the next one. And have a blessed night, and we'll see you post game live. And as the Knicks will battle Milwaukee on, I think it's Tuesday. As I pull this up, yes, Tuesday. It's an 8 p.m. tip, fam, and I think it's going to be on MSG. Yeah, it's not a national TV game, I don't think. Um, Actually, it might look like it's a national game. I think it might be a national game. So yeah, we'll definitely it'll be a huge game in terms of the attention and the spotlight. Definitely with Giannis and all of that. So yeah, Knicks are still above 500 for now. Let's keep moving forward and hopefully pick up our third win of the season against the Bucks. Peace.